Okay, hello ladies and gents. Okay, let's just open up some documents here and I will turn the stream on in a moment. Not that, it's actually right here. I need this to be downloads, Lockheed Vega 5, checklists, that's what we need. We need some checklists. Engine start, before start, there we go, that's what we want. Let's just make that a little bit smaller. Over to the side, I think that's good. Excellent. History, that's what we want as well. We want the history as well. We have a little bit of a cup of tea left. Not too much, but enough just to get the stream started. So that's good. It's quite warm today, actually. It's not bad. Quite like it. Okay. Right, it's going to just take a while for P3D to open up. So let's just turn the stream on. And do we have this up and running? We don't yet, up in the top right hand corner, but that should come up soon. I'm just going to double check my chat box actually has got an opaque background to it now. I think that's because it was updated recently. I think that's the actual Restream chat box, not the Streamlabs chat box. That's something different. So we're just loading up. We're going to be flying the Lockheed Vega today. Let's just put that on the stream. It's a beautiful aircraft. And today we're going to be doing an informal first look at the aircraft and where it is currently in the stage of development. and then there will be a more polished review coming up at some point soon. So we're going to fly this little beast today from Santa Barbara in California up to Kern Valley Airport, which is about 100 nautical miles northeast of the coast of Santa Barbara. So we're going to be flying inland about 100 nautical miles. Just to give you folks a little bit of background, the Lockheed Vega 5, or the Lockheed Vega in general, was designed and developed around the 1920s. So it was kind of mid-war, 1920s, 1930s. That's when the different variations of the Lockheed Vega came out, and it's a kind of classic golden age of aviation aircraft, really. It's got a lot of quirks, and it's not designed like hardly anything I've ever flown before. So there's a lot to look at, a lot to kind of get used to, and I've flown it around a couple of times already, and it's got some unique characteristics to it, which we'll be covering today. There's a weird engine noise outside my house. Hey, UK Jim, thank you for joining. Good to see you in the house, indeed. And then hi Niall, good to see you as well. So let's just get rid of that just for the moment. Yeah, P3D still loading. What's new? So while P3D is loading, oh, actually, did it just finish loading? No, it didn't. No, I'm sure I'll spend plenty of time talking about this when we do a walk around and such, so that's not a problem. Just to give you all a taste of the developer while that's loading up, Wing42, or Wing42, sorry. I always think it's Wings42, but it's Wing42, like so. Right, so here's their website. Their update 0.85 has now just come available recently. So this is still an early access aircraft. The developer very kindly reached out to me and said, hey, we're developing an aircraft that is the kind of aircraft that you seem to enjoy on your stream. You like vintage stuff. Test it out. Let us know what you think. We'd love to get your opinion and your constructive feedback. And not that I am a developer in any way, shape, or form. Not that I'm really a great, an incredibly knowledgeable person on many aspects of aviation. But I, as you know, I'm an enthusiast and SBA, and my love of vintage stuff really runs fairly deep at this point in my experience of flight simming. So I have some things to say, and it's all constructive, and it's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think it's 9 hours behind us. There we go. But it's a great add-on so far as I have seen. The quality is stunning. It's their first aircraft that this developer has released, Wing42, the simulation company, and they really have developed a cracking aircraft so far. And just to say again, this is early access. And for something like this to be this good in early access, I'm very impressed, and really looking forward to the future updates to this aircraft as they come out. So this developer, great folks. I was chatting with the guy that I was talking to, and he was really helpful, really personable. And a really, all round, very eager to see what people think about their aircraft, their add-on, and just wanted to get out there and get people's opinions. So that's what we're here to do today. So good to see you too, mate. Yeah, that's right. Niall, is this this is a Kix flight, Peter? Niall or Neil? I must apologize, Neil. Actually, no. I just love that splash screen. And I love promoting Kix VFR because they are great people. I do have an account still with Kix VFR, and I do log flight plans every now and then. But I'm afraid I must say I'm sadly not as connected with them as I used to be. I kind of just hang around in the background. But I do like to promote them because that's where I started my journey in small aircraft, general aviation, VFR flying online on VATSIM. That's where I started. That's where I learned the basics. And if anyone wants to get into doing this, if anyone wants a break from the airliners, then go and talk to Kix VFR. So, yeah, but like I say, great company. First product that they've released just recently in early access is the Lockheed Vega. So that's what we're about to see today. It's quite a successful aircraft, actually. The legacy of the Vega, I didn't quite realize just how iconic it was for its time. And I love aviation history in the sense that the more you learn about aviation history going back decades and decades and decades, the more little gems that pop out that surprise you, and you start to build a picture of aviation history and how in the early days certain things were done in a certain way, and that influenced aviation design and the progress of aerodynamic design and all of that. The engines, just everything that we have in aviation today has come from somewhere and has been influenced by something. And it's just lovely to see developers developing out of the box things that challenge you and things that are not the norm. You know, it would be boring if all the developers were competing on developing the 737. It would just get kind of a bit tiresome. Not that the 737's bad, it's lovely, but it's just, there's so much variation out there in flight sim that there's still tons of aircraft out there that could be done, but it's just they're not popular, so mainstream developers stay away from them. So it's left to little newly started development teams like this one to choose an aircraft that's very unique, very just vintage and okay, so yes, okay, we are starting cold and dark, or we should start cold and dark. So the very, very first thing, I've got cameras and everything set up that I want to show you in the Vega, is when you're sitting in the cockpit and you look to the left and you look to the right, your head position in the Vega is right inside the wing root. So they've developed the wing root. When they did this, your head is physically where the wing root should be. So to actually look to the left, you have to kind of squish your forehead up against the windshield to look down the leading edge. And then again, on the other side, down to the leading edge. If you actually want proper visibility, you would have to kind of squish your head around. And again, the visibility over the nose is really not very good at all. But, and I will say this more than once. Hello, Ip. Good to see you. Good to see you on stream. Glad you joined. I will say this more than once. You have to take this aircraft in comparison with what has come before. So many people will come to this add-on and go, oh, it's so slow, or it's so unmaneuverable, or whatever. Oh, I don't like it for XYZ reason. You have to think that a developer, when they go to faithfully try to recreate an add-on, they're recreating an add-on, and if that add-on in real life was a certain way, that's the way it's going to turn out in the sim if they do it right. And that means that you turn out with an aircraft add-on pre-World War II airliner, early Lockheed pre-World War II airliner, that really has a ton of character. And the more you look at I think the more I look at this, the more beautiful it looks. It's got a very kind of stalwart, stubborn. It looks like a stubborn aircraft. That's what I would say. It looks stubborn. Look at the thickness of that wing there. That is ridiculously a ridiculously thick wing. But back in the day, pre-World War II, this is what Lockheed comes out with. And like I said, you have to take this in comparison with what's come before. And to be fair, what has come before this in history is nothing in comparison with this. So this, I've been reading up some history, was a significant leap forward. Significant leap forward. Before you had this, 10 years before this was on the tarmac, it was World War One. And what were they doing in World War One? They were flying around with canvas and wooden biplanes, shooting at each other with pistols and little machine guns, and yeah. So this is a big deal. This is the dawn of civilian commercial aviation. So anyway, I have. Let's just reset the time. Yeah, -7 hours instead of -9. Okay, let's just let that reset. Hello, great aircraft. Is it realistic, Frederick? Yes. So, you know me. You know I love my A2A. I'm going to critique this, give some constructive feedback on this early access add-on, and I'm going to see how it fits in with stuff that's similar to it, for instance, A2A. So there's the time has been reset. Let's just put that back. Thing I'll just say about Orbex Santa Barbara is that whenever I'm in an exterior view, the frame rates are beautiful. See, frames are right up against 29.9 FPS. But as soon as I go and change into the interior cabin view, the frames bottleneck down to about 9 FPS, and then it waits for about 5 seconds, and then it comes back up again. So I'm going to try not to change my views too often, because that's going to be annoying. Right, so let's do... Right, okay, so before I do that, actually, let me just step back for a second. Shift 5, okay, Shift 5. We've got Shift 1 is main panel, Shift 2, Payload Manager. Shift 3 is a walk around. Shift 4 is overhead manual. Let's move this down here. So where can I move this so that you guys can see it? I'm afraid it's not really. Okay, I'll just go through them dynamically here. Shift 1. I think this black box, this will be filled in probably later because that's just a black box at the moment. Shift 2. Right, Payload Manager. Straight away. Does the add-on have a custom Payload Manager where you can fill in information quickly, easily, intuitively, and see what's going on at a glance? Yes, it does. Gone are the days that people think that going to vehicle, fuel, and payload is acceptable. That is not acceptable for a quality add-on today. That's just, I don't even look at that. I don't think I've used that default payload and fuel manager in years because I've been flying payware, and payware's done right. Okay, so the pilot's up top. So if I zoom in, I wonder if actually I can remove him. Okay, he doesn't disappear in the... he looks a bit psychedelic, actually. He looks like he has a story to tell. He looks a bit dodgy. And he's not shaved. What pilot doesn't shave regularly? Come on, man. Be professional. Right. Shave that pilot. Okay, let's add us some passengers. Full passengers. And what we do is we hit board passengers. And our ramp agent, Henrik, will pop up and he will tell us what's happening. We've got a little yellow boarding. Actually, we shouldn't really be boarding now. We should be doing our walk around first. Lol. Done. Okay. Well, let's just pretend that we didn't do that. Okay, so when that happened, when I clicked that button, you got a little ladder and the door opened. So that's cool. That's dynamically the aircraft is, things around the aircraft are changing with your input. And one thing I will say about this is you definitely get the feel that they've developed this. They haven't just given you an aircraft, right? They've given you an experience of what it's like. There you go. There you go. They've given you an experience of what it's kind of like to manage the aircraft. So, and we'll go into that as we go along. Well, I didn't really ask for that, but let's just go back to... No, 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 no. Shift 3. No, Shift 2. Shift 2. There we go. Okay, so how did I get this? This little tab on the side, by the way, you can't really see it, probably because the chat window's in the way. Chat window's probably in the way. But there's a little yellow bar you might be able to see that whenever I mouse over it, it will pop out. And you've got this... That's where you can click on the button to talk to Henrik, the ramp agent. And then you can... Okay, so let's install the wheel chocks again, and then hit exit dialog. So he's going to go away and install the wheel chocks, and you'll see them pop on. There you go, done, onto the aircraft. Right, so he's installed the wheel chocks. Let's go do a walk around and see what that's like. What was the walk around? Was Shift 3. There we go. Okay, so here is the walk around tab. There we go. Okay, 9 people on stream. Good. Here's the walk around tab, and you've got 1 to 10 different items. So what you do is you go and click one by one on these check buttons. So check propeller for damage, crank for six blader. Crank for six blader. I'm not sure what that means. It doesn't have custom camera positions, but that's fine because if you've got a camera add-on, you can just swap, move around the aircraft. Okay. I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to bring this over here so you can see. So I'm going to hit check, and then you have findings down below the image. So there's a picture of where you should be right here. Hand crank the engine to check for hydrostatic lock. Propeller blades appear to be in good shape. Okay, so if I press and hold the hand crank propeller button, you can see the propeller is kind of wobbling. So basically what's happening is you're standing there and you're tugging on the propeller to turn it around, but it's not moving because it gets as far as the first line of pistons, and those pistons are giving us resistance, right? So what we have to do is we have to wobble it back and forwards and build up a bit of momentum, and then give it a big tug, and then it will kind of start to turn around in a jolting fashion because it's having to cycle through those cylinders, right? So actually all of this is modeled. So I have to press and hold and then let go, and then press and hold and let go, just to kind of get that kind of, just imagine you're standing there and doing this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and go. Okay, so that you're kind of tugging it around now. And you basically turn that around a good couple times just to clear out. And then it's gone green, and you let go, and it says cylinders clear, propeller blades appear to be in good shape. So that's green. So now we can move on to the next thing. So you can see how this is not just any old add-on. This is well thought out. Okay, check engine oil. Let's check the engine oil. Oil level looks okay. Let's inspect the oil. You can see a sample. The tank is full. Condition oil appears brand new. No metal shavings found. Excellent. So replacement. So you can then go, if you want to, afterwards, and go and replace with different grades, which is cool. So let's go to the next thing. Check Pitot static port. Remove any blockage. So let's go to the part of the wing where we've got our pitot tube. So that right there is our pitot tube. Covers removed. Pitot tube looks clean of any damage. No blockage of the static port found. Excellent. What you can do, if I go shift, if I go back to Henrik and go cover the pitot tube, he's going to come along and he's going to cover that, and you will see that there. So if you start in cold and dark, which unfortunately I didn't really, I should have, all of these things, you know what? Is there a cold and dark function? You know what? I'm going to go back to him and I'm going to turn on all of these things. Tie down the ship. Get the passenger stairs. Get the baggage cart. Yeah, that's all I need at the moment. Okay, so that's fine. So you can see you've got tie downs and everything going on here. Okay, next thing. Yes, I did remove the cover. So whenever it does have the cover, there's the button there to remove it, and you saw that has been removed. Okay, next thing. Check left aileron, hinges, and control cables. So let's walk around to the left aileron here. Let's have a look. Hit check. And left aileron okay, hinges look good, control cable okay. So we've checked that, and that's gone green. Check fuel tanks. Okay, let's come up onto the left-hand wing to where the fuel tank cap would be. And left fuel tank about half full, center fuel tank is about half full, right fuel tank is about half full. Okay, so they've basically gone and checked that. If we go to our Payload Manager, which is Shift 2, you can see on the fuel loadout that's correct. So we've got about a half full load. Check fuel tanks. We have been checked. Return. Check fuel tanks. Okay, I'm not sure why that doesn't go green immediately, but let's move to the next thing. Check rudder hinges. Rudder okay. Hinges look good. Return. Check elevator and hinges. If I wobble that, yeah, that's good. Check right aileron, hinges, and control cables. Let's come around on the right-hand side, and they are all good. Check venturi tube, clear any blockage. So if we come down onto the right side of the fuselage, there's the venturi tube. Venturi tube looks okay. And then check tire and tire pressure. Finally, they look good. Okay, so that is a pre-flight. That's a walk around, excuse me. That is a general walk around. We've got ourselves a little GPU, little baby GPU. Let's go into the interior for a second and go down onto the right-hand side, and we've got some electrics. We've got a generator, and then we've got our battery is on. But it's okay, it shouldn't drain down because we've got the GPU, or we should have the GPU running. So that is that. The maintenance panel, okay, that's Shift 4. The maintenance panel isn't fully modeled yet, but if you hit call the mechanic, what happens is the engine cowling, it comes off the engine and sits itself down on the ground, and you can actually go in and look in much further detail at this engine. And you can see that's one of the, is that the fuel tank? Is that one of the fuel tanks? That's so funny. It just looks so cute. But the really cool thing is this thing is modeled properly. I mean, if we just go in here, just smush the camera in there, look at all the little, and this is cool. Look at this little sign on the side of the engine there. And then if we go onto the outside, check this level of detail, guys. So, Pratt & Whitney aircraft. Type and model is a Wasp SC1. That's the engine type. Manufacturer's number is Papa 5682. Customer number, direct drive. The prop is a direct drive prop. See blower ratios, etc. Fuel grade 80. Spark Advance 30 BTC. And takeoff dime and power normal. So that is, I'd say that's pretty cool. I'd call that pretty cool right there. And what you do in the Shift 4 function is if you go system components, this should, there you go. So you can inspect all these different things, inspecting, taking time. Look, is it working on inspecting the pitot tube? Pitot tube is green. Static port. You see, you can click on all these things and you can inspect each component of the engine for wear and tear. And all of the wear and tear over time on the engine should be modeled if it's not already. And then you hit conclude maintenance, and then the engine cowling pops back onto the engine. And so there we are. And it's a persistent aircraft, meaning that if you've stopped the simulation and then started again later, it picks up exactly where you left off. So what does Solar Spence say? I see you have a message retracted there. I'm not sure how to. I'm afraid, I'm sorry, Solar, but I don't see a way of unretracting your message. I'm sorry if that was a link or something. Okay, so that's a brief look at the maintenance panel. That's the walk around. Okay, let's go back to the the load manager. So if I just move this over here, and if I come around to the side, you should be able to see that if I change the load manager, so if I change anything in the baggage compartment and I press load cargo, you're going to have the door open and you should have a little cart here with bags. There you go. So, and there are usually bags on that cart, and as he loads the luggage, the bags disappear from here and appear inside the aircraft. So if I yeah, there you go. So if I pop in there, you can see the suitcases actually in the aircraft and the little hat box. There's a really cute little hat box up in the aft section there. One thing I immediately did think about this add-on was, wouldn't it be great if you could actually see the passengers inside the aircraft there, all in period costume. So basically, you would have like maybe a small group or a line of passengers standing on the tarmac, waiting to load into the aircraft, and then in the load manager, whenever you pressed, I'm not used to which keybinds are which, whenever you press these buttons and hit board passengers, they would actually even walk up into the aircraft or just disappear from the tarmac and appear inside the aircraft, depending on how much animation you want to get stuck into. That would be cool, and I'm pretty sure that the graphical passengers sitting inside the aircraft will come in a later update. So that's already, wow, this is impressive. Does it have spare autopilot? Okay, Friedrich. So I don't think so. As far as I can see, it's a completely manual aircraft. It doesn't have any autopilot. So we're going to be looking at that in cruise. F6, just the configurator menu. Okay, that's a little help. That's how you get your cold and dark ready to fly and fix all issues if there's something going wrong. Shift 7 is your radio. Shift 8, they're just performance panels for early access bugs. Say if you have a bug, you can do stuff there. So that's just to monitor stuff. And that is pretty much it as far as I can see in terms of panels. So what we'll do is we'll go back to Friedrich, which is on the right here. Let's remove wheel chocks, remove battery and cart, remove the passenger stairs, remove tie downs, and that's all. So that means he should go through and he should take all of those things away one by one. While we're doing that, let's hit fly now on Project Fly. We are way over here. My voice is starting to get a bit dry. Okay, so we're going from Santa Barbara up to Kern Valley, which is beyond Bakersfield. It's actually just on this lake. I've never been there before in the Sims. This is going to be first time. I tried to fly out there the other day in the Vega, but the Sim crashed. So hopefully that won't happen to us today. That's just, I think it's a graphics card issue. Okay, so let's jump into the aircraft for real now. One thing I'm going to do up here is I'm just going to take that clip down, and then you grab with the mouse and roll back the upper canopy, and oh, there's that bottlenecking, the FPS bottlenecking I was mentioning earlier on, and give it a second. Yeah, there you go. So this is one of the quirky things about the Vega, is how you actually get into the pilot compartment of the aircraft. One very daring way of doing it, apparently, was to climb up on the the wheel cowling, up the strut, and then clamber. I think there used to be like little footholds somewhere here, but you clamber up onto the wing and slide your butt down inside the cockpit like that, and then you close the window, and that click spot works from the outside. And then that little clip goes up and it holds that down. But a slightly more dignified way is to go out through the rear door. That was pretty cool, wasn't it? So that is how you actually get into the cockpit from the inside of the fuselage. So the people are sitting, the passengers are sitting in their seats, and you actually clamber up through this gap and sit yourself up here. So you are significantly higher than the passengers are, and so that's how your forehead is kind of, and that's cool. That's the exterior from the interior, but that's how your forehead basically lives. That's why it lives up in the wing root like that, is because it's so much more elevated. And again, this is a pre-World War II aircraft. This is the golden age of aviation. They're experimenting. They, you know, we do it differently today because we've learned, but they didn't back then. So that door basically hinges up and hinges down and locks, and that is that's your backrest right there that you're actually leaning upon, and you've got little windows there. And apparently, this was a pretty cool thing I found in the. Not that one, it's this one. So this is what they said about the cockpit. Despite the wide fuselage, the centered cockpit was narrow, but a good authority reports that there was room enough up there for a friendly co-pilot of the female persuasion. Very interesting. And it also goes on to say that Amelia Earhart on takeoff. Yeah, here we go. On one occasion, Amelia Earhart lost control of a Vega on takeoff when the door popped open and she fell backwards into the cabin. So that's an example of a pilot, in this case, very famous Amelia Earhart. Basically, that popped open and she fell backwards into the cabin on takeoff. How ridiculous does that sound? It's just crazy. It's just you can't make this up. The only way you can make this up is that they made it up. That's literally what they did. This is aircraft development. They make this stuff up as they go along. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. You throw out the stuff that doesn't work in aircraft design, and you keep the stuff that does, and that's how you get where we are today. Innovation, wonderful thing. Okay, so just a quick note about the livery I'm using. This is the Transcontinental and Western Airlines, or Western Airlines. So this, I believe, is the forerunner to TWA, Trans World Airlines. This is back in the very early days, of course. So we're going to be doing a regional route from Santa Barbara up to Kern Valley. I didn't get that from anywhere special. It was the kind of closest regional local place I could get. I can talk a bit further about where this aircraft was based generally as well later. Okay, so let's just jump in the aircraft and start thinking about a few things. Okay, if I get my feet on the pedal. So you can see the pedals down here. We've got, those are the rudders and those are the brakes. And you can see they're separate. Of course, we've got a very, very simplistic stick. We've got a handbrake. We have a fuel pump here, which we'll be using in a minute to bring up the pressure of the fuel. We've got a fuse box, which you can actually open. Check this. Check that. You can actually open, and you can see. You can see when the fuses are blown. And actually, you can see right there. That's a brilliant example. On a previous flight, I must have blown the starter fuse. So I think you click on it, and then you how do you do this? No. Oh yeah, you click on it again, and it puts. You see, it disappears from the box. That's so cool. They've got a little box of fuses, and you click on it, and it places a new fuse inside, and then you close the box up. See, electrical wiring diagram. So cool, so retro. You close the box back up. You have to screw it in here as well, right? And those are the amps. We've got a generator on, but we don't really need that right now. So, I mean, I know Airborne Yacht. Isn't this lovely? Hi, sorry about earlier typo. This is a wonderful bird. I know, right? I'm falling in love with this. Okay, so track IR back on. So that was on the right-hand side of the aircraft. That's the battery on and off. And by the way, these cables, fuel selector is on the right tank. By the way, that's the fuel selector. And whenever I saw the strap there, just sitting there on the board, I was clicking on it because I thought there is a click spot there, but I'm not sure that no, that's not related to the strap. That's some click spot that I don't know about. There's all sorts of little things. Oh yeah, so there's all sorts of like little hidden things that are clickable in this place, and that's just like a plank that you can pull up and see what's going on. That's not clickable though. Yeah, so the engine starter is down under the dash, right there. So we've got our throttle, which is here. We've got our spark advance lever, which I don't fully understand yet. We don't have any pitch, so this is a fixed pitch propeller, and we have our mixture. We have our trim, which is that. We have on the left-hand side we have a an engine primer. We have our 2 fuel gauges. We have an RPM, manifold, climb rate. We have our Sperry directional gyro, which I first thought was like, ooh, Sperry, that must be an autopilot, but it's not. It's just a directional gyro. Then we have a full compass, a Pioneer compass, nonetheless. Then we've got our turn indicator, which you use a lot more in this aircraft than you do any modern aircraft, I'll tell you that. Got a gyro horizon. You've got airspeed in miles per hour, because this is, you know, knots weren't really a thing back then. Then we've got ourselves a nice little clock. We have a boost control. So our engine booster. We've got our altitude, which we will press there. We've got our Fahrenheit and degrees, general actually. It's reading at 1, so I'm not quite sure. That probably turns on when the engine turns on. We have our vacuum source, which is on Venturi. We've got our mags, and then of course we've got our T's and P's down here. We've got our oil temperature, oil pressure, and fuel pressure. And then on the right hand and left hand side we have windows that open and close in degrees. Look at that. Isn't that cute? And it's a hot day in California. It's always hot in California, so we're going to have both windows open like so. And just to top it off, if we weren't like overcome with the cuteness of this aircraft already, you have manual wiper blades. Aww. Look, you just pull it and it moves. Oh, this is so cute. Anyway, I'm a sad case. I don't have any friends. I'm sorry. Right. So that's a basic walk around of the interior. Let's call it. Just make sure. Okay, this is even more impressive than A2A, isn't it? So lovely. I just bought it. Yeah. So. This is so good. I love A2A. There's no one can say I don't love A2A, but this really and if this is only early access, then I'm happy. I'm happy. Yeah. It's got a little fire extinguisher, but it's not a fire extinguisher. Just go read what that says. To recharge. Yeah, it is a fire extinguisher. And it's so high def, you can almost read the label on it. That's pretty sweet. And I love how they've modeled all sorts of like tiny things that you can just appreciate at your leisure. Like look at these little twist switches leading from it's the fuel lines. That's what that is. That's like little fuel cocks that open and close. And it's just like it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I could just sit here and just be content without even having to turn the engine on. So anyway, right, so to turn the engine on, let's go to the checklists. Right, before starting, pilot's pre-flight briefing has been completed. Parking brake is set. Electrical fuses, check. Yes, we have a generator on. We don't really need the nav or the landing until we start the engine. Electrical fuses, check. Yeah, clock, wind up and set. Yes, so if we weren't like impressed enough as it is, you actually have to wind up the clock, because believe me, this clock does stop working because you haven't wound it up. So clock wind button, drag to wind up, right click to set time. I did right click, and it says in quotes 300, which is probably the strength of the wind. So as it goes down to 0, you'll have to wind that up again. So back to the checklist. Artificial horizon is caged. Fuel quantity has been checked. We checked that before. There's a half in all tanks. That should be fine. Fuel tank selector is on fullest tank. They're all the same. Throttle closed. Mixture full lean or cut off. Universal mixture heater is off. No. I was having so much fun. DXGI error device hung. I don't know. This happens every now and then. It's happened once before with the Vega. Okay, let's load it up again, guys. Let's see if I can load this up and get this in the air quickly. I'm sorry about that, guys. I've heard people have had mixed success with uninstalling uninstalling GeForce Experience and just having the bare driver installed, but I would rather not do that. When it comes to be fair, when it comes to graphics card issues, I'm just waiting for I'm just waiting to upgrade my graphics card to the RTX 2070. This is a fairly old graphics card at this point. I'm not sure if I just don't. I'm not going to sit and theory craft about it, but yeah, I think it's a driver problem. Yeah. Anyway, when I buy the RTX 2070 and install it, I will actually I'll uninstall the driver properly. I'll uninstall GeForce Experience, and then I'll just reinstall the driver and reinstall GeForce FX from scratch, just to hopefully clear that. It doesn't happen all the time, thankfully. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, guys. Anyway, let's pour through the. Let's just go through the before start checklist while that's loading up again. So the mixture is fine. The universal mixture heater. I'm not quite sure what that actually is, but anyway, mags off, doors closed, cabin secure. So that we basically had the before starting checklist finished. So when we go to the engine start, this is what we want to familiarize ourselves with. Let's just move it out so you can see it behind the chat window. I keep forgetting that. Master battery switch on. Engine warning lights check on. Mixture full rich. And then you use the wobble pump on the right hand side to operate until fuel pressure reaches 2 to 3 psi, which you can see on the gauge. Then you prime, which is over on the left, 1 to 3 strokes when warm, 3 to 5 strokes when cold. Then you crack the throttle half an inch, the spark half an inch as well, so not full spark on startup. Mags on both, booster button on, and then starter you wind up, then mesh. Now that's something that hasn't been modeled in other aircraft I've seen, but this is really cool. Did you upgrade to 4.5? Yes, I did. I'm now running 4.5. So after engine ignition, run it at 600 RPM for 10 seconds, release the booster button, advance the spark, then open the throttle to idle at 900 to 1000 RPM until oil temperature reaches 40 Celsius. So when you then see the oil pressure rising, generator switch on, vacuum selector as required, directional gyro set. And that is the engine start checklist. And then you would go to the warm-up checklist. You'd just be warming the engine up gradually, checking everything's okay, and then taxiing and ground checks from there on. So that sounds like a fun process. So we're going to do that when we get this loaded up. I'm afraid I have so many add-ons on P3D that it just takes a while to boot up. Yeah. maybe this is an opportunity for me to go and replenish my tea. Do you know what, guys? I'm going to take 5, go get some fresh tea while this boots up. So I'm just going to pop my gun to make some tea. We'll be back soon on the channel. So I'm gonna pop away and I'll be back soon, guys. You guys feel free, just go away, go get yourself a beverage of choice, and come back, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Okay? All right. Okay, here we go. We are now armed with tea. We're ready to go again. Okay. It's just Lockheed There you go. Right. KSBA. Ramp 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Load. Right. Oh, if this crashes one more time before we land, just... Oh, I don't want that. One thing I was having, guys, in the cruise last time I flew this was engine backfires. I was having a lot of engine backfiring. But today we're going to follow the checklist, and hopefully we won't have as many backfires with the engine. So, yes. Loading. Okay, we're going to get underway as quickly as possible. There we are. There's me. We're going to fly from here up to about here. And it's going to be completely VFR. Just make sure everyone can hear me. Everything's good. Okay, right. Okay. Okay. Let's just make sure that is working. Yeah. 17 degrees Celsius. All good. Right. Okay. Just double check. And it should have, yeah, it should have saved everything.
Okay, sir.
Just boarding those passengers before we start the engine, and we'll get up and away because we did all that before, and it should have remembered what we wanted, what we had before it crashed.
Well done, Captain.
Okay, thank you. So before starting, we ran through this. Mags off, yeah. Engine start. Master battery switch on. Battery switch is on. Engine warning lights, check that they're on. Both engine warning lights are on. The oil pressure warning light and the fuel pressure warning light. Mixture, full rich. Let's pop that to full rich. It is there. Thank you. And then wobble pump, operate until fuel pressure reaches 2 to 3 psi. So the fuel pressure is here.
That's done, sir.
This one in the corner. Actually, I'm going to pause track IR because, yeah. So the fuel pressure is there. Fuel pump is here. Let's just wobble that up. You can see the gauge is actually rising there. So we've got, see, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 1, 2, 3. So let's wait until that gets up there. It actually slowly goes down, which is cool. Let's just pump it up a bit more. Let's call it there. Okay, excellent. So fuel pressure is now just about on 3, and it's declining declining gradually. Primer, 1 to 3 strokes. Let's go do that. Let's open the guard and then pull that back and forwards. This is a very kind of 2, 3. This is a very touchy, clicky cockpit. You have to click things and move them out of the way and move things back in and out. It's not just like left click, right click, left click, right click, left click, right click, you're done. It's very much push pull. You know, it's a manual cockpit, and I like that. Throttle, 1/2 inch. And I don't have anything set for the spark advance, so I'm going to move it with the mouse. So I'm going to set that about the same. Mags, both on. Both mags on. Booster button needs to go on. Starter, wind up, then mesh. Right, okay, this is where I'm going to need track IR. And so this is the starter under the dash. You push it in to wind it up, and then you pull it out to mesh it, and it will start the engine. So you have to count 30 seconds. So I'm looking at the second hand of our clock on the dashboard. Not hearing anything. Did I forget something? Is the sound really bad that I can't hear the actual... Volume mixer. Should be winding up. Okay. It's not doing it, so I'm going to hit... No, sorry, not the main exit. Close the main exit. I'm going to hit Control E just to auto start the engine because that wasn't working. And okay, 600 RPM. Watch the T's and P's. Oil temperature. Uh-oh, that's a backfire. Oil pressure. 10 seconds. Release the booster button. Advance the spark. Spark advanced. Then open the throttle idle to 900 to 1000. Which is there. Idle until oil temperature reaches 40 Celsius. That's the oil temperature. We're going to wait until that gets to there. Right, so we're going to have to sit and wait for a little bit. I'm not sure why the engine didn't do what I wanted it to there. No fuel pressure, I believe. No. Oh, I see. Did the fuel pressure go down so far that it didn't? No, but the gyro, the inertia starter should have still wound up, even though there wasn't any fuel pressure. You would have still heard that going, and then you would engage it and mesh it, and it would go, and then the engine would turn over, or the propeller would start to turn. And you wouldn't be able to start, the engine wouldn't engage if there wasn't any fuel pressure, but you would still hear that inertia wind up, I would have hoped. So, as to why I couldn't hear that winding up, I'm not sure. About 25 Celsius on the oil pressure, or oil temperature, I'm sorry. Let's just pop outside for a minute. Nice aircraft. So actually, now that we've got the engine started, let's turn on the nav, and let's not turn on the landing light yet. It's middle of the day, so just go see what the nav lights look like. And you can see the glow even in the daytime. That's all going well. About 20, 26, 27 on the oil temperature. This is taking a while to actually get the oil temperature up to 40 Celsius. I think it's going to take a while, so I'm just going to push it up to maybe 1100. There you go. Come on. It's not a cold day either. I might just skip that part of the Let's see, oil pressure. Yeah, the oil pressure's fine. It's up to like 91, 60, 70, 80, 90. Yeah, it's about 91 psi. That's fine. Generator switch is on. Yes, the gen is on. Vacuum selector as required. It's on the Venturi at the moment. That should be fine. Yeah. Well, let's put it. I don't know the difference between the vacuum pump and the Venturi. I've got to research that. But anyway, directional gyro set. So our heading. Well, all I have to do is press D on the keyboard, and that should set the directional gyro. That is due east, almost due east. That is almost 115. Which means that's 120. One east is 90. 100, 110, 120. So it's 110. That's about 114. So let's go set that. It's about there. That's as close as that will be. Not very accurate, but then this is mid wars, so whatever. True. Maybe some sound issue with the plane. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I'm not sure. Okay, so we've been idling for a while. Let's go see our oil temp is just above 30. I'm not going to bother about my oil temperature, to be fair. Warm up. Throttle. Okay, throttle 1000 RPM. Carburetor heat as required. I don't see a setting for my carb heat or my carburetor temperature or my... I don't... The blower, I don't even know what my blower is. I think that's some... I think the blower has something to do with the carburetor temperature. I'm pretty sure. Maybe. Oil pressure and fuel pressure check periodically. Yeah, just coming down. Getting a steady 5 psi on the fuel. Oil pressure has come down slightly to about 80. And oil temp is stable, so I think we're good to go. Prolonged periods of idling may lead to fouling of the spark plugs. Clearing out of the engine at 10-minute intervals is recommended. This should be done by running the engine at 13 to 1500 RPM for 1 minute after each 10-minute idling. Okay, that means we should start taxiing. Right, off with the parking brake. And this is very good. This is very good on ground handling, by the way. It's a tail dragger, but despite that, it's a very good ground handler. Problem is the visibility. But then, like I said before, historically, the accounts say that the pilots actually enjoyed flying this aircraft because compared to what they had in the past, this is comparatively good visibility. So, go figure. You do have to do a kind of snaking on the taxiway from right to left to maintain visual forward visibility of the taxiway and the area ahead. But again, you know, through World War II, you would be having issues like that as well with Spitfires, Hurricanes, all that kind of thing. So that's not something that's going to go away anytime soon in terms of the history of this aircraft. What's the wind doing? Wind is 150 at 8. Okay. 150 at 8. That means 60, 70, 80. Actually, I'm going to turn around and take off behind me. You can also see the ICAO codes in the top right. Blower is probably a manual control for the supercharger or turbo. Okay. You have the ICAO code. Yeah, it's in the top left-hand corner. Okay, landing light is going to go on, and the threshold or the threshold is just there. Let's just go to the taxiing. Flight controls check, brakes check. I'm checking the brakes by using them right now. When taxiing to the ramp close to obstructions, Speed should be reduced and care should be exercised to avoid possibility of collision due to unseen obstacles, error in judgment or failure of brakes. Excessive and frequent use of braking and taxiing in making series of short hops around the field will cause brakes to overheat. Right. Ground checks, brakes locked. Spark fully advanced, that is correct. Throttle 1500 RPM. That's about 1500 RPM. So oil pressure check 80 to 90. That's slightly above 90, but okay. Oil temperature 50 to 70. It's still down by 30. The oil temperature is still not good. Fuel pressure 6 to 8. It's still a bit low. Throttle. Oh, mags. Yeah, sorry. So you can hear those drops are acceptable. Throttle back down. Caution, never exceed 450 Fahrenheit cylinder head temperature. Yeah, I think that's the cylinder head temperature there. Yeah. That's about 360. Yeah. Artificial horizon is uncaged. Okay. Let's go take off. Mixture, full rich. Fullest tank, elevator trim, nose down. Lights as required. Spark, ensure fully advanced. Throttle, advance to 34 in... okay. Right, okay. She's a dream to taxi. Also, you can see the physics on the ground handling have been modeled. The struts, the wheel struts, the undercarriage struts are modeled with a bit of give in them. So if you come down and you touch down on one gear, you'll see those gear struts flex. So it's alive. It's not kind of. It's good. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to think of three things at once. Okay, so I'm going to bring the power up, and away we go. Rudder, rudder. You need a lot of rudder in this aircraft. Get used to that now. You need a lot of rudder. And this aircraft it reacts to the wind very sensitively. So if you're taking off in a crosswind, it really wants to swing the nose erratically into the wind. So you have to hold the aircraft with the rudder and the ailerons quite definitively on takeoff and in any situation really. Okay, so say goodbye to Santa Barbara. So we're climbing out over the sea here. And you can see our climb indicator isn't terribly accurate. It kind of wobbles back and forwards. So it gives you a general idea of what you're doing. Okay, so one thing we're going to be looking at quite a lot in this aircraft is the bank and turn indicator, and trying to keep that ball centered in our turns, because we've got passengers behind us. Yeah, so I'm going to look down at you can see my rudders are centered, right? My rudders are centered. I'm not going to use my rudders in this turn. I'm going to bank to the right, and you just watch that ball if you can see that. It's just off to the left. If I bank to the right, watch that ball. Completely out on one side until I bring the rudders in and center the ball, right? Which means that this aircraft has a ton of induced drag. which means that if I want to turn to the left, I begin the turn with rudders, not a bank. I begin inputting rudder and gradually feeding in aileron both at the same time to keep the ball centered in a turn. And that's just the nature of a pre-World War II aircraft and the way it's aerodynamically designed. This really thick wing creates a lot of induced drag whenever you shift an aileron on the leading on the left or the side. Whenever the ailerons go up and down, that creates a lot of induced drag, which actually you need to counteract that with rudder in every single turn. And you'll see I'm actually using a fair amount of rudder. You see the amount of rudder on the back I'm using just to maintain a kind of standard turn like this? Oh, that is a backfire. One nice thing about this aircraft, though, is it is a pleasure to fly. It is very stable. It's kind of, it's a bit of a lumbering beast. You have to be using a lot of trim. You have to be on the rudders and on the ailerons. You have to use all of your control surfaces coordinated together to create a smooth, stable, pleasurable flying experience. If you try and just whack in some aileron to make a turn like you're in a Cessna 172 and expect to have a relatively smooth bank, it won't happen like that. So let's just I'm going to just turn the engine noises down. Like so. And just start to pitch up a little bit, and we'll climb out and head north. Let's just turn off the landing lights. We'll leave the nav lights on, that's fine. And look at this beautiful scenery. This is Santa Barbara. Just let that load in. Oh, and that's another backfire. I think the backfires are going to be with us most of the way, I'm afraid. So let's just have a look at our heading. Let's actually open up Plan G because we need Plan G. Start flight plan from KSBA, and then that is our destination. It gives us a good kind of direct bearing. Let's just not crash into these mountains. Very beautiful looking mountains they are too. Okay, so let's go back to just check our checklists. That's the takeoff. The climb. Mixture, rich, throttle, 32 inches. That's about 32 inches. Carburetor heat as required. Engine temperature ensure less than 500 Fahrenheit, which it is. Best rate of climb is achieved around 110 miles an hour, which we are about 120, so that's all good. Let's just pitch the nose up a little bit. We might have a little bit of turbulence going over these hills, but there's hardly any weather, so we should be okay. Okay, so that's the climb. So in cruise, we're looking for 28 to 30 inches of manifold mixture. Lean the mixture out. I'm actually going to lean the mixture out in the climb. I'm going to lean down to about 75%, which should be okay. Okay, let's just have a look at chat. Let's just pause track IR. That's fine for where we want right now. And you see, once you get this baby properly trimmed, the power's all set, properly trimmed, she's very stable. I mean, I can take hands off pretty much and look at chat. So, hello Jacob, good to see you. Yeah, it's KSBA, that's correct. Sim CFI, FS 2004 is when I seriously ramped up the hobby. I always wanted to do an around-the-world flight or even across the US, never actually did it. But this is the plane I would fly in FS9 to feel like a pioneer in aviation, flying long distances. This looks amazing. Yep. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do a Pan-Pacific flight in this aircraft, much like I did the London to Sydney flight in the Constellation. Oh, there's a backfire. I don't know how to stop backfires in this yet. I hope that there is a way of reducing the amount of backfires, because they do seem to happen quite regularly, at least when I'm flying this thing. Okay, so I'm just going to do a bit of a turn to bring us on to, we want to fly 041, so that's due north right about there. Let's just bring that round. Keep that rudder and those ailerons synchronized to get ourselves a nice smooth turn. And you can see by the manifold pressure and the RPM gauge, yeah, I don't like the way those backfires happen. It does not instill faith in me in the aircraft when backfires happen, and I don't know how to stop them, I'm afraid. Okay, so that right there by the compass is about 04. It's about 039, 040. Let's call that 041. About there. Oh, and you can see our airspeed has come down in the climb. So let's just lower the nose a little bit and gain some of that speed back. Airborneat says, my CFI taught me to use a bit of rudder while banking into a turn. That was a 152. Depends on the aircraft. Yeah, it depends on the aircraft, like you say, Airborneat. I have flown the Cessna 172, and I felt sometimes when looking at the ball that you hardly need any rudder in the 172 when doing a rate 1 turn. That is true for pretty much any airplane without a proper yaw damper. But these older planes like the Vega and the Ford Trimotor would generate so much adverse yaw that it was better to lead with the rudder. Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think they've modeled it accurately here. You really do need to lead with the rudder. Okay, so we are where we are, and if you can believe it, we're coming up on 8,000 feet, and you wouldn't think it. Oh, interesting. You wouldn't think it because we look close to the mountains, but we are actually up at 8,000 feet already, which is pretty crazy. So even for an old retro bird like this, it climbs well. It climbs well. So I'm going to probably sit at about 9,000. 8 to 9,000 feet is fine. I don't feel like I need to really climb too much more. I'm just going to let the aircraft gain a bit of speed now. I got to fly the Ford Trimotor hands-on, and I felt the need for the leading rudder. You mean in real life? You got to fly that thing in real life? Where did you fly that in real life? All right, let's just flatten out, gain some speed. Yeah, flying the Vega is beautiful because it really is. It's a hands and feet thing. It's not a hands-on thing. It's a hands and feet thing on. You use everything in coordination to do coordinated turns and everything. It's nice. Okay, I'm just going to lean out a little bit more. And let's pull up our cruise checklist now as we're in the cruise. Throttle, 28 to 30. Mixture, lean, carburetor as required. Okay, let's just have a look. Yeah. Let's put the manifold to 30. I'd say that's pretty lean. Okay, so before we just forget what we're doing, let's put our onto the left. Come on. There we go. So I went over to the left tank. Now, this is something I read, is that in the old days, whenever they switched from like one fuel tank to the other, the engine would literally cut out as they switched, and it really would scare the passengers. But what they would do is they would run a fuel tank right until the engine died and then changed, because then they knew that there was absolutely no more fuel to take out of that tank. They knew that when the engine died, that tank was completely dry, and then they would switch to the next tank. So they knew exactly how much fuel they had. And after a while in commercial aviation in the early days, this started to scare the passengers. Obviously, not a very nice thing to have happen quite regularly. So apparently the airlines would start to fine pilots for doing this. That's what I read in the notes anyway. So, hello, Jers. Good to see you, Jers 182. Just put the just check the clock is, yeah, the clock is at 1:25. Wow, let's wind that clock up again. Needs more winding. There you go, back up to 300. That's cool. Okay, so you actually, it looks by the artificial horizon that you actually have to go nose down a bit to actually go level, because you can see that there. I'm not happy with the I'm not happy with those backfires, but what can you do? I haven't figured out a way of fixing that yet. It was a very cool experience. It had a steering wheel. Wow. Wow, that's an experience and a half, Sim CFI. I'm jealous. That is amazing. You got to fly one of those. Wow. Yeah, I've leaned the mixture airborne yet. Sorry about that. Or you mean airborne yet? Do you mean lean the mixture more or lean it less? Should be there in half an hour. Okay. Lean mixture for backfire? You mean lean it so that it backfires, or lean it so that it doesn't backfire? Okay, I'm guessing you mean lean the engine. I've got the mixture set right now to 38%. So that's pretty lean. Like, I'm not sure I want to lean it too much more than that, or else we might just lose power. You know? But we'll leave it in the 30% range and see how that goes. I might bring the engine noises up a little bit more. There you go. And we are drifting a little, but we are in cruise. We're cruising, and our climb and descent gauge seems to be okay. We are causing a little. There's a little bit of right roll in the aircraft, very slight, but I think that's probably because we've been drawing from the right tank. Now I just recently swapped over to the left tank, so we should hopefully be okay in that. You can see slight right-hand bank. Yeah. Might have a crosswind from the left as well. Yes, we do. Yeah, you can see I can even feel that. Crosswind from the left is coming in and probably pushing us a little to the right. So, but everything's going fine. Okay. Might also have something to do with the blower control, but that's just a guess. You see, that's a fair point, Sim. But oh, a little bit of turbulence there. But because I'm following the checklist, I would have imagined the checklist would tell me to look out for that sort of thing. or to, you know, it's told me to lean and cruise, which is what I've done. So a little bit of a frame of a freeze frame there. Oh, not responding. It should just continue. Yeah, okay. It does this. V4 does this where it freezes, and when I used to fly in FSX, a freeze meant it would completely crash every time. But in V4, if there's a freeze, it means it's just thinking about something, and then it continues. Even if it's quite a severe freeze, it still comes back. Unless the graphics card stops working. Anyway. One other thing I would say about the Lockheed Vega as constructive feedback. Yeah, okay, now we're in cruise. Let's talk about what would make the Lockheed Vega better. Might be prop torque causing the roll. True. Nice one, Drake. Actually, Draco, that is a very, very fair point. Thank you for that. I didn't actually think of that. Yes. Prop torque. Yep. I agree with you there. That's a good one. Yeah. So let's talk about things that would improve the Vega. I think that using the A2A rain effects on the windshield, if Wing42 could find a way to fit the A2A wing, the A2A windshield droplet effect into the sim, and then you could use these little windscreen wipers to wipe your window. Oh, you see there you go. There's another backfire. And the fun thing is that A2A has released that software for free to other developers. So there's no reason why Wing42 couldn't implement the A2A windshield effects into the Vega. So I think that's one thing that they should think about, you know, and that's a piece of software that they don't have to develop themselves. As far as I know, A2A has done all the work and has now opened it up to the other developers in the community to use as they want. So, and that's really nice on the part of A2A. And it's really fantastic because the A2A windshield effects are amongst the best I've ever seen. Hands down, best I've ever seen. I know True Glass and stuff, but A2A, the individual droplet, it looks like each individual droplet is moving in and of itself. It's not like a texture or anything that's just moving. It looks, the individual droplet groups and clusters are moving. Okay, there's a freeze frame again. Please don't crash. I'm going to pull up the FPS again. And we're still just cruising around. Getting a bit of left aileron now. Let's just go and check the fuel. You push. There you go. Half tank. You pull it and it goes back in and tells you. That's fine. So this is a completely manual aircraft. It's a completely VFR. I'm pretty sure there aren't any autopilot settings, or I would have found them by now, which means that when you're on VATSIM, you have to be just completely VFR, which is fun, which is a load of fun. I'm really looking forward to taking this baby on VATSIM and flying commercial flights in VFR. I mean, who does that? Nobody does that these days. I have to agree that it might be the blower that is causing the backfire. Right. So if I go to the blower, if I put the blower onto 100%, what will that do? Oh, let's turn ourselves back. Okay, so the blower is now on 100%. Nope. Nope, we just had a backfire again. Let's just leave the blower on again for a bit. I could read in the notes about what a blower does specifically. I think I will do that. Let's just go and see. Yeah, half an hour until landing, so. no, it's... Never mind. The blower. Actually, let's go to the website. Support forum. And let's just type in blower. Okay, thank you for... I'm glad to... Fox. Okay, the blower doesn't serve a proper function yet. And I think I will rename the lever in the next build to make its function more clear after lots of research. So that was said on the 7th of April, so I have a feeling that the blower actually doesn't do anything at the moment. Ah, T. Well, I'm not sure. Do your Frida checks, Peter. My Frida? My Frida checks? What's a Frida check? What have I... What am I missing? What's a Frida check? There's nothing really on... We've not had a backfire in a while now. Oh, but if I look here, oil pressure warning light is on. Oh, my oil pressure is definitely not good. No, my oil temperatures... Oh, my oil pressure! Uh-oh, uh-oh. That is very bad. That's above 120. Something is definitely very wrong with my oil pressure. That's bad. Why is my oil pressure so high? Airborneat's just laughing at me, I can tell. He put that little smiley, laughy, annoying smiley face in the chat. My booster button's off. My oil pressure is I feel like my oil pressure is way too high, but the oil temperature is way too low. That makes no sense to me. Let's take the blower off. Yeah, that light is on. Oil pressure warning light. See, if I knew what I was doing wrong. Let's put the vacuum source selector onto Venturi now that we're up in the cruise. Uh-oh. Please don't crash. Please don't crash on me. Please don't crash. Please, 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 please. Yes. Thank you. I am not happy. Oil pressure is way too high. Why is the oil pressure so high? Surely if there's any issues it would be low oil pressure, not high oil pressure. Any advice, guys, on high oil pressures? Basic en route checks. 1 fuel, 2 radios, 3 engine, T's and P's, 4 okay. 4 direction, align compass, altitude set, current pressure. Yeah. So yeah, fuel. Okay, fuel. Okay. I should probably go to the center. Right. So I'm going off the center tank now. Oh, and I actually need to come back a little bit here. Radios, I don't need to bother about radios. Engine, yeah, T's and P's. Altitude set, yeah. I've not actually had a backfire in a while now, so I'm hoping that's okay. That wasn't me. It wasn't me. I'll just pull the power back. I'm just going to pull the power back to about 25, 26, about 26 inches. Yeah, in cruise it should be 28, so I'll just, as long as it's under 30 it should be fine. That's not what's worrying me. I can just see my oil pressure is very high. I've never seen it that high before. But then I've not flown this aircraft much. I've only flown this aircraft a few times. Excuse me. So we have to get over this mountain range, and then the lake is on the other side, and then the airfield is next to the lake. So bank could be fuel imbalanced to wings too. Yeah, true. That's true. Airborne out. I think at this point I should go back to the right tank. Yeah, there you go. It's on the right tank. I've just popped it back on the right tank. If I pull out these fuel stops just to gauge the fuel, these two, watch to the left. The left is about 11, and the right is about 20. So, oh yeah, by the way, guys, sorry I didn't do this already. I'll go through my views. There's a physics engine. There's actually a physics engine that runs outside the sim, that injects physics into the sim. So look at that. When I bank, look how cool that is. And these are like little ropes that are there to help passengers like stand up and sit down. How cool is that? And then if I turn around, you can see the hat box and the briefcases, etc. And then here's just a few wing views, and then back up here. So, and again, I'm actually flying due east. I'm flying off course. Come on, back we come, baby. Yeah, that's what I did. Tried reducing RPM, but tried reducing manifold pressure, which reduces RPM, which should reduce oil pressure. I don't really see that much of a reduction so far. Yeah, it's still above 120. That's ridiculous. So we'll see what happens. Just going to keep straight and level flight at 120 miles an hour. That's good. 120 miles an hour in cruise. Let's see how much ground speed we got. 121 knot ground speed. I think this is probably as far as I got until I crashed last time. 23 minutes until... Yeah, 23 minutes until we come to land. So She's a handful. She is a handful. But she is beautiful. She really is. I do like the aircraft. That's a classic look. Can you imagine, like, several of these just, like, buzzing around Los Angeles and up and down the coast? Engine is getting warm. Engine sits between 400 and 500 Fahrenheit, and the checklist told me not to exceed 500 Fahrenheit. So, as far as I know, it's not too bad. Could be worse. Let's just see. Where did it say that? Can't remember where it said that. Let me just... Yeah, throttle caution. Never exceed 450 Fahrenheit cylinder head temperature during ground operation. Oh, during ground operation. Okay, takeoff, climb, cruise, and descent. Yeah. I don't know how to change that. Like, there's no things in here you can use as for cowl. There's no cowl flaps settings or anything like that. And the thing is, guys, is I'm going inland, and it's like springtime on the west coast, and as soon as you go inland off the coast, you go up, you know, 20-25 degrees. It's not supposed to be cold up here at the moment. Well, it is like 9,000 feet. So let's just double check the outside air temperature is. Temperature is 2.5. Okay, so it is supposed to be cold up here. Huh. So it is supposed to be cold up here, but my engine is running at over 400 Fahrenheit. The cylinder heads. Crazy. And my oil temperature is low. I suppose the oil temperature is low because it's 2.5 Celsius outside. Just close up my windows. 1 minute to VNAV profile. Don't worry about that. It's just something else. We actually should be a little bit further over here. She looks like she is fun to fly. Yeah, exactly. If I'm having this much trouble with my oil temperatures and pressures and various issues here, if I'm having this much fun or this much trouble, it reminds me of the kind of... Oh, crap. There you go. Engine backfire. That catches me out every time. I do not like that. And an aircraft that's challenging to fly is an aircraft that you have lots of fun in. And it reminds me of the B377 Stratocruiser in that regard. I remember every single time you fly that beast, you're always so close to an engine catching fire because you have to run them so hot to get the power out of them. They were right on the envelope. Cowl flaps. Yeah, I don't have any cowl flaps, mate. This is a radial. A radial engine from the 1920s. There's no talk of cowl flaps here, as far as I've been told. Blower, mixture, spark, throttle. I don't know of any cowl flaps here. I wish I did know of cowl flaps. I might have it completely wrong, and I have completely missed them, but I'm pretty sure I would have found them by now. There's nowhere in the cockpit that I haven't examined at this point. And the wind currents are just taking me... The wind currents are taking me... kind of banking the aircraft naturally. Yeah, that's the wind. That's nice. It's the air currents going over the mountains. And this scenery is nice, actually. I like this scenery. That's nice and rugged. Okay, so we should get over this mountain range, and then we should be getting ready to descend towards that lake. So... yeah, I don't have any cowl flaps. It's just vacuum source. It's just a straight radial, guys. It's just an air-cooled radial engine. Oh, I'm sitting now in her by myself, Peter. Thank you so much for this great aircraft presentation. No worries, Frederick. Learn from my mistakes, man. That's what my channel's all about. I'm making mistakes. But this is just a kind of informal... This is an informal live stream, and I'm hoping to create a more well-polished review soon, when I drum up a bit more experience in the old girl. But right now, this is bare bones me learning how to fly the aircraft. And I've got maybe 2 hours on her already, 2-3 hours, not much. Click to extend the external steps. I don't want steps right now. I'm in cruise. I can't see any cowl flaps, or I can't think of anything that I haven't done already that I could do to make this a cooler engine. Backfires are caused by fuel that hasn't been burned igniting in the engine. Okay, excellent. That's good to hear. I have leaned the engine out. Yeah, I've leaned it just a little bit more. Right, so it's at 35% right now. So we really shouldn't have any more issues, I'm hoping, with 13 minutes. So we should start seeing the lake in front of us fairly soon. Oh, there it is. There it is. Just off. I could just see it now. Okay, so that's the lake. Right over there. And the airport is near the lake. So what we need to do is get over this mountain range first, and then gradually start weaving our way down to the lake. So I think this will be a really fun arrival. It looks like nice scenery, and Kern Valley Airport is an Orbex airport as well, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Particularly as this aircraft has no flaps, literally, so you have to be careful you don't gain too much speed on approach, because you can't easily dump the speed away with flaps. And think about this, guys. Think about this. We're sitting in an aircraft that's designed in the 20s, the 20s and 30s. We're sitting at 10,000 feet, yeah, at almost 150 mile an hour indicated airspeed, which is 140 knots ground speed. Those are some very, very respectable stats for a pre-World War II civilian airliner. Like that, those are respectable stats. And if I firewalled this throttle, I would get some good speed out of this thing, like respectable by today's standard speed. So imagine that, like coming out of World War I, 10 years after World War I, you've got something like this. Like that's why people were raving about this aircraft when it came out. They were, this was pretty cool. This was the speed demon back in her day. Oh. There we go. She always seems to right herself okay after a backfire, but it still just puts me on edge whenever I see that manifold pressure gauge just go vroom, and the RPM just fall away as well, and then it just kind of comes back, and it's like, oh my goodness, please, please, I want to live. That oil pressure though, oh, there we go. I'm just getting a bit of a left bank. I think there's some turbulence coming in there from the terrain probably below us. Let's just double check what the wind is right now. Wind is still off our left hand side. Yeah, I see it kind of blew us off course slightly, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm sure a regular pilot in these days would be reading the terrain and be taking a more direct route because he would know the terrain and know the area. There's no VOR needles or no nothing in this aircraft. It's just completely manual. It's basically like a Piper Cub. It's basically like a Piper Cub, but it's an airliner version of a Piper Cub, which I think is so cool. And there's my lake over there. I don't want to divert too much. I want to Lake Isabella with Kern County Airport. So let's just... This kind of aircraft reminds me of the kind of aircraft that Indiana Jones would be flying in. You know those cutscenes in Indiana Jones movies where it's like, let's go to South America, and it's like, duh, 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 and then you see a DC-3. It's always a DC-3, obviously. There's like a cutscene of a DC-3 flying through the mountains and the wooded mountains, and then you get like some small obscure little regional aircraft like this, like, and then it lands, and then, you know, Indiana Jones goes on and does what he does. You know, that's the feel I have when I fly in something like this retro. You know, this is the version 090 of the Vega. No, this is the 085 version off the website. So if we go to, yeah, this is the update 0.85 that I'm flying currently airborne at. So backfires could be natural in this plane. I mean, he lent it. That's everything he really do. Or no cooling flaps or fluids to cool. So the two things I see is mixture and IAS to cool. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you look at the cylinders there, I mean that's as air cooled as you can get. Look at those bad boys. You know, that's as air cooled as you can pretty much get. And it's not a constant speed prop. It's a fixed pitch propeller as well. So overspeeding is going to be a bad idea. But as I begin descending, I'm just going to pull the engine back to about 25 inches manifold. I wonder if icing. Okay. Continuing our list of things that we would like to constructively see in this aircraft, it would be graphical icing on the leading edge, on the leading edge, and on the areas probably on the wheel fairings. Get some icing graphically forming on the wheel struts as well. Stuff like that. Of course, in an aircraft like this, there's nothing you can absolutely nothing you can do about icing other than fly lower into air that is above 0 degrees, and then the icing starts to shear off. But I think that would be maybe something you could add in towards the end of the development. Since the add-on is already so good, I feel like maybe dynamic icing would be something that you could do. Maybe just, you know, take your time on that one. But yeah. Windshield droplet effects, I think, is the A2A ones would make this a really, really nice aircraft. Very you know, worth putting into the sim. I think putting into the add-on. Cylinder head temperature, okay. 0.90 cylinder head temperature will be fixed in next version according to manual. Okay. Right, excellent. That's good to hear. True, it could just be a quirk with this plane. Yeah, exactly. You see, the thing is like, we're critiquing this right now, and I told the developer when he gave this to me to review, I was like, I'll review it and I'll give you some constructive feedback, but really, to be fair, there's nothing bad to say about this because it's still early access, and if it's this good at the moment of early access, then like it's all uphill from here. There's nothing. I mean, I would be happy to put my money on this now. Like, I probably will. I probably, when this aircraft gets released properly, version 1, I will probably just give him money because I'll be flying this. I know this aircraft is the kind of aircraft that I'll be flying, you know, for a while. It's not an aircraft that I'll fly for a couple of months and then it gathers dust. I like this. I like this. I'll just give him my money because it's worth it. And if you think about it, this is a new developer in our community, and this is their first add-on. And if they're doing this well in their first add-on, we need to give them their encouragement as the community. We need to encourage them to do more. And I talked to the guy, and he said, like, yeah, we've got more ideas for more aircraft in this era. He said that it would be really fun to do some flying boats of this time period. I mean, how cool would that be? So I think we really need to give him some encouragement. And I said I'm going to do a future live stream when he's going to join me, and we're going to have a chat together about the aircraft. So for those of you who have stuck around in the live stream right now, there's 19 of you on Twitch, on YouTube, sorry. If you want to see a live stream where I fly the aircraft around and have the developer with me in Discord talking and answering your questions as well, then stay tuned on the YouTube channel for that. Also, I will say, he has given me a discount code to use for anyone buying the aircraft. And actually, I've just realized I should have said that to begin with, because Frederick, was it you, Frederick, that just went out and bought this? Yes, Frederick. Okay. Okay, Frederick, email me, Frederick, and I will make sure that your purchase that you just made is discounted. The developer seemed really friendly and happy, and I think even though you did just purchase it like 10-15 minutes ago, I am going to contact the developer personally and ask if he can potentially kind of give you the discount, even though you've already put that purchase through, because you are watching the live stream and I forgot to mention it at the beginning. Sorry. But yeah, I will get that done. Frederick, if you email me at here, yeah, so if you email me at that email address, Frederick, I will get you the discount, and hopefully you can get a little bit of money back on that purchase. So I do apologize about that. Okay, because the developer gave me a discount code to use, and once I land, I will put the discount code in chat for everyone in case you want it. So if you're on the verge, grab that discount code from me when I land. Okay, so I actually can't even see this airfield. Where is this airfield? I'm going to start richening up my mixture just as I'm lowering in altitude. Actually, I'm at 4,000 feet, and it looks like I'm 1,000 feet off the ground, so we are higher up here. Where is this airfield? Let's just go explore. I don't know where this airfield is. It's supposed to be somewhere. Okay, it should be further up. Well, that's not a river, that's a dried up riverbed. Oh, there it is. There it is, okay. That's cool. I'm going to come around and do a... yeah, I'm going to come around and do a base leg. That's cool. No problem, Draco. Just let me get on the ground, and I will get everyone that discount code. And you just email me, Frederick, and I will get you in contact with the developer as well. I don't use the Sperry directional gyro. I'm just going straight off the compass all the time, and I like that because I very rarely use the actual natural compass in add-ons. I always go off the directional gyro or the directional indicator. I like the fact that I'm using the compass, and I'm looking forward to the Piper Cub by A2A. A2A, if you're listening, please bring out the Piper Cub for V4. Okay, thanks, but I don't need it. I want to support them. No worries. I don't buy very much sim planes, so I have the money for it. It's totally okay. Thank you, Peter. Okay, Frederick, no problem. If you feel that way, I'm glad you feel that way, because these folks do need some encouragement and some of our money. I think they really are doing a great thing here, and I'm really looking forward to promoting them and hoping that they bring out some more add-ons after this one, because I would like to see some bigger aircraft. If this little thing is this well done, like, it's just a very tactile experience, more so than any other add-on I've ever flown so far. Like the way that you interact with the little gauges, and you have to push and pull things so much. I've never had that from an add-on before, and I really like that kind of that feel to it. So I think if they brought out a bigger aircraft, like a big flying boat or some other bigger, more lumbering aircraft of this time period, it would be so much fun to fly. I wonder if they could do shared cockpit as well, if they had a two-seater of this era. I don't know the aircraft of this era, so I wouldn't know. Anyway, so I should have been looking at my checklists. Descent, I already kind of did this. Lean, throttle is required. Approach and landing, fuel director, fullest tank. We're on, let's go center tank actually. Let's not do that. Oh crap, I'm gonna stall out. Oh. No, I'm not. I'm fine. It's good. It's all good. Nobody saw that. That's normal. That's normal for my channel. It's fine. It's fine. It's all cool. Yeah. Lots of rudder in this turn. Carburetor heat. Look, it mentions carburetor heat. Cold unless icing conditions are present. I don't know where the carburetor heat I don't know what's going on. Okay, lots, like full rudder to get a coordinated turn with this bank. Look at my rudder. It's how to turn around in the valley. Okay, just trim. I'm going to search for this carburetor heat button whenever we land, because I am almost positive that I didn't miss it, but apparently if it exists, then maybe that's what I was doing wrong. Okay, let's just look. There's the runway there. Okay. Let's go. Landing light on. This is fun. Okay, 90 miles an hour. Touchdown should be around 60. A little bit more than 60, so let's just start to cut the throttle now. Mixture is full rich. Carb heat is blower. I don't know. I will find out though. Okay, here we go. Do a bit of trimming. If we have to do a go around, I will, because Oh my goodness, the tree's on final? Are you serious? Orbex. No, why did Siri just think I was talking to her? Okay, cut the throttle, cut the throttle, cut the throttle. This might be a go around. No, it should be fine. That tree though, that tree, go away. Go away, tree. Oh my goodness. Uh-oh, uh-oh. No, no, no. Stall, 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 stall. Oh. No! What? The nose just swung left. Oh, for goodness sake. Is that wind that's doing that to me? What is going on? Lift off, you fool. Was that wind? That was wind. That was wind. What is the wind doing? I feel like that was wind shear. Yeah, that was actually wind shear. Was that? No, was that wind shear? No, I don't think it was. I'm confused now. The whole nose just cranked left. And it's really hard for me to gain altitude now. But then it is, what? We are at 2,300 feet, roughly. Sync rate. Yeah, sync rate, sync rate. Thank you, Jamie. And I'm almost like full right rudder. Let's get away from these mountains. Okay, let's come in the other way. Let's come in the other way. My goodness. That was not fun. That's a challenging... I mean, look at those mountains there. That is challenging. The wind in there is weird. That kind of... I was sinking, I was going too slow, and I full throttle, and I just kind of scraped sideways, and the wind just kind of... The nose, you see how it forced me over. Anyway. Okay, let's come in for another attempt, but we're going to come in the opposite. There we go. FPS bottleneck is done. Okay, right. I'm going to go almost full left rudder and full left bank. Let's see how tight we can turn with a centered ball in this thing. Actually, I think I should keep up above 80 miles an hour. Oh, I can feel the wind. Oh. Okay, there's the end of the runway. Flatten out, flatten out. Alright, attempt 2. Bearing in mind that you need a lot of rudder to keep the nose centered because the nose wants to swing really hard into the wind. That's one thing I've noticed about the Vega. It loves to swing into the wind hard. Okay, let's try this again. There's the center line. 90, not 90 knots, sorry, 90 miles an hour. That's a fairly long runway as well. As long as we've set down on it okay, then we're fine. Okay, that seems to be okay. Maybe that was slightly a bit of a tailwind on the other approach. Maybe that was what sunk me so quickly. There we go. There we go. That's more like it. No, no. A little bit. Power, power, power. Now that's where you completely lose sight of the runway. And you get swept off the center line by some weird kind of side wind. Back on. Cut the engine. And we're down, apparently. But once you're down, the ground handling is nice. It's fine. Nothing wrong with the ground handling, but... And a little bit of braking. Side to side. Sorry about that. Okay, and... Woo! We're down. Let's just lean for ground operation slightly. And because it's probably very hot in here... Just open the window, and I'm just gonna... stand up. Actually, you could probably stand up with your your arms kind of on the rim of the canopy there, and at the same time use the toe brakes with your toes. You could probably do that. I would. I'm tall enough, so I'm going to pretend that's what I can do. And you can get nice breeze from the propeller. But handling this thing on the ground, it's great. It's the best tail dragger I've ever had for handling. Ah. So that touchdown wasn't too bad, but you saw just as I began to like get into a flare attitude, the whole aircraft just scooted to the left. And I was like, whoa, and then I kind of brought it back and then plonked it down. But maybe it's the wind dynamics around this airfield that are doing that. But I do know the Vega, it's just very, very prone to swing around into the wind. It's very much like a weather vane, this thing. And even though it's a relatively small aircraft, it feels a lot heavier than it actually should. It's not light on the controls, so whenever you have a swing like that off the runway, you're almost using full control input to bring it back onto a stable path again. So that's fun. Let's just slow the baby down. Let's see if we can get into that hangar. Is that open? Probably not. No, it doesn't look like it's... no, it's not open. Never mind. Let's go up to the... that looks like a kind of house up there. Yeah, that looks like some sort of hut. Let's just go see what's going on over there. Oh, that is open. We wouldn't be able to fit, don't worry. Oh, that's weird elevation issue there. Okay, that's fine. Let's just swing around and park up in here. It's a really nice little airport. I really like this airport. This airport, along with Acqua Dulce and Santa Barbara, the West Coast airports are just beautiful. I really like them. All right, ladies and gents. Let's just go sit back down in our seat. Put the parking brake on. Brake set. Okay, let's have a look at our shutdown checklist. Stopping. Parking brake set. Generator switch off. Let's turn the gen off. Mixture. Idle cutoff. And then mags off. And look at our oil pressure. It just went from 120 all the way down to 0 in no time at all. So maybe, yeah, more modeling on that needs maybe. Mags were off. Fuel selector goes to off. Lights off. Yeah, master battery switch off. Off like so. Wheel chocks set. So let's just pause track IR and get
What is it?
Manuel. I'm going to call you Manuel from now on. I'm sorry. What am I doing? Install wheel chocks. Thank you, Manuel. Cover the Pitot tube. Get the baggage cart. Get the passenger stairs. Tie down the ship. Okay, he's going to do all those things. Whew. All done, thank you. Right, we're just going to deboard the plane. Oh, why are they purple? Why are they purple now? What is the significance of their purpleness? Oh. So I can get rid of the captain now. I can get rid of the pilot. Oh, I can. No, he's still there. Okay, he's still there in the seat. But why are the passengers now purple and not clickable? Like, what's the significance of them being purple? I thought I could take them out, but
Boarding passengers, sir. Everyone on board and accounted for, Captain.
if I
Passenger steps removed.
click that,
Okay, sir. We start boarding your passengers now. The steps are ready.
but if I don't want to board them. Oh no, okay. Oh, it's unboarding. Okay, all right. So that basically needs to go, instead of saying boarding, it needs to say deboarding. So that button needs to change from board passengers to deboard passengers. So that's another thing that could be done, which probably is going to be done. There you go. So instead of saying everyone on board and accounted for, Manuel needs to say everyone is now off the aircraft. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. But there you go, guys. The Lockheed Vega 5 by Wing42. A fantastic add-on. Love it. I love what they've done with it. I love the uniqueness that they've brought to it. They've brought a feeling of not just of flying the aircraft and handling it and managing it, but the feeling of the passenger interaction. And I think with a bit of work, they can really make that even better and probably a class-leading. I think they're setting themselves up. They could easily be a kind of class leader in their genre of aircraft. But the overall package, what they're bringing to the add-on, other than just flying the aircraft, is quite special. And I think with some polish and with over time, it's early access, but I can see huge potential in this, and I really look forward to flying this more. I will be flying this more on stream. I'll be flying a stream with this again. I could do the return flight actually, and have the developer come on Discord with me. Let me just grab his name because I feel bad that I'm talking about him but not mentioning his name. Let's see, Lockheed Vega. Let's just pull up emails to do. Otmar is his name I was talking to. Lovely chap, really helpful. Let's just get his full name there. So that is Otmar Nietzsche. Otmar Nietzsche. I'm afraid I cannot pronounce that properly, but I'm sure he will tell us how to pronounce his name in the future. But yeah, almost 2.5 hour stream. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Let me just yeah, look at that for a flight. Yeah, the days of VFR. I do love VFR. Okay, landing rate was -23, but that we had a touchdown. Let me just see. Landing. Oh, we had actually. Was there a bounce in there as well? Yeah, there was. There was at 7 minutes past 8, Zulu. We had the first. Oh dear, the first touchdown was -126, and then the second was just a split second afterwards. So we did bounce slightly at 6 feet per minute, and then the final one we did was 23, which was just quite respectable. Pitch. Roll. Look at the roll that we had on that one. That was horrible. And then less roll on the bounce, and then of course even less roll again on the final touchdown with 7 degrees pitch upwards. Yeah, so that was. I do love the breakdown that it does there, and you can see the takeoff, the cruise, the turnaround, and the craziness. So that was a lot of fun. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Yeah, no worries, Frederick. Thank you for that. And Frederick, and anyone else who gets this aircraft, let me know, and we'll have to do a group flight on VATSIM. Hopefully, at some point when VATSIM updates its audio codec, we can all be talking to one another on Unicom, and hopefully the latency should be improved as well, so we can get some proper group flights done. That would be loads of fun. So anyway, thank you so much again, like I say, for those of you who stayed to watch, and for those of you who are watching the video as a YouTube video that's saved on YouTube afterwards. Thank you for that. Oh yes, I'm going to get you that. I am going to get you that discount code coming up right now for the Vega. Here we go. Let me just pull this up. Ah, right. Let me just... well, okay, actually, I'm going to put it in chat here, actually. For those of you on YouTube, that is the discount code that you can use to get a little discount off the Vega if you're thinking of buying it. So feel free to use that, and I hope that helps. But please do encourage these guys, because like I said, he reached out to me and he said, "No, Siri. Go away, Siri. I don't love you, Siri." Whatever. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I'm going to call it an evening, and I look forward to doing another live stream with you guys soon. So have a good evening.